Hi there. See, my name is Nina Staple, and I just asked my sister Kathy Gebicki if she would come on and share the journey that they have been through with her husband's health. It's to me, I found it very interesting through the years, and I may interject once in a while, but what I'm going to do is just turn it over. I have a hard time keeping quiet, but it's her story. It's not mine. So I may ask her a question here and there. So go ahead, Kathy, and I'm going to just have your face up.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Kathy. I'm Nina's sister, like she said. I'm her little sister. Anyway, I've used Shackley for many, many years in our household. I mean, I want to say for probably 39 years is when I started. Nina introduced it to us and said we needed to try it. But I'm going to talk about Kevin, my husband, who's been sick for 39, 40 years since we've met. He got really sick with ulcerative colitis, and he was a very healthy man. Well, I shouldn't say that. He was a young man. He weighed about 185 pounds, and he had issues with ulcerative colitis when he was younger, on and off when he got stressed. But anyway, he got very sick that he got down to 112 pounds and nearly died. And when he was in this part of his life, when he got really bad, he tried some Shackley products, but he was so far gone that his body, I mean, he was bleeding to death basically. So the nutrition he could not take at the time, his body could not assimilate anything. Anyway, he went to Mayo. He had his large intestine removed, and he struggled with his health on and on and on through that. I mean, for 6 years, he still could not gain weight. He would still have cramping, even though they took out his large intestine. And
he got an infection all the time, too. He got pouchitis all the time.
Yes. And finally, he went back and asked them just take the last little bit of his rectum out and give him a bag. And he felt way better after he had he has a colostomy bag. And so even after that time, I don't remember if he did any nutrition. He might have started a little here and a little there.
Yeah,
he was never faithful. And then I'm going to say when he first started really taking something was when the protein drink, I don't remember the name of it, that tasted really good.
The 180?
The Cinch.
Or Cinch, yes.
The Cinch, when the Cinch came out, then he started taking the protein. And, he would have his ups and his downs. And I'm talking ups and downs that I'm saying months laying on the couch, just barely surviving, and what happens when you don't have a large intestine that takes out your water. So your water absorption, you can't absorb water into your body. But,
water out of your food doesn't get absorbed is what you mean, right?
Right. And then you get dehydrated, but you also your food does not digest the same. I mean, he goes through him really, really quick. And so his system is very picky. But I want to say it was the Cinch is the very first that he was taken on a regular basis. You'd try some vitamins and then it wouldn't do so good. They would come through grainy, even though a pill will dissolve in a moment, like in a couple of minutes. If you take a Shackley pill and you put it into the water, it dissolves. But in his system, it does not. I mean, it comes through as grit, which adds aggravation.
And the reason for that is because everything goes through so fast. It doesn't have time to even break down in his stomach before it shoves through to the rest of his body.
Right. Yep. And doctors said, well, you don't have ulcerative colitis. They said for name, we'll give it irritable bowel, but
because they didn't have ulcerative colitis anymore because he didn't have a colon.
Right. But his system still has an inflammation issue, which is an autoimmune. I mean, and it's his body just attacking itself. And then I want to say Nutrifuron was the next thing that he started. Once Nutrifuron came out, he started taking Nutrifuron. And I mean, so it was up and down, try a little bit, go on it, go off of it, go on it, go off of it. Even though our kids always took vitamins, I always took vitamins, protein, But the Nutriferon, he found out that he started taking that and he could have a little bit of a quality of his life, and it helped him to feel better. And
And you
we
know
went,
what's so interesting about that is that I, from the bottom of my heart, believe he has an autoimmune disease of
he
some
does.
sort because of all the inflammation that's there all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will think you don't do Nutriferon if you have an autoimmune. And what the medical does is they will give you something to shut your immune system off, because an autoimmune is your system working against itself.
Yeah.
So Kevin uses Nutriferon. My philosophy is, let's see if we can make the body work properly instead
Right.
of shutting it off. And so does he use quite a bit of Nutriferon?
Yeah,
I
he
think
takes.
it's important for people to know, Kathy.
Yes. Okay. So I want to go back to the Nutriferon. We went with you down to Mexico, and Laura, I think it was Laura that spoke about Nutriferon, taking different, the amounts of Nutriferon. And he was taking 12 at the time we went down to the convention, I want to say. And then he said, okay, I'm going to cut down, because he takes 6 in the morning, 6 at night. And so he says, I'm going to cut down. And he cut down, and he cut down a few. And he says, I feel the difference, because every time he took off one pill, he could tell the difference of how he felt. So 12 was his magic number.
But you must have heard somebody say something about taking 12, because I remember when you told me that, I was like, he's taken 12 Nutriferon? I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
So you heard it from somebody to try it.
Well, he just kept up in it, is what he did, until he felt better.
Okay.
And I mean, but he was already, I believe he started taking the stress relief then. But like I said, he was taking the protein at that time until they switched it. And once they switched the protein, the cinch, the 180, and then they changed it, he could not do the new protein. It made him sick when they added whatever they did. So then he went to physique. So then he would take the physique, and he was also, he did like omegas. And when he started the omegas, his ostomy started smelling so bad because they changed something in his bag. Because he was taking, I don't remember how many omegas he was taking, and he cut those down because the smell was so bad that it had a chemical reaction. Just the fish oil is what it is.
It was the fish oil in the vitalizer. I remember that.
Okay,
remember
yes.
when he started the vitalizer?
Yes, because that came, yes. He took the vitalizer and he felt really good. He felt wonderful. And it was like he felt happy.
Yes, and I have to share. And the reason he started, Kathy encouraged him to try that, because I had another client who Kevin was doing everything except the vitalizer, and Randy got such phenomenal results. And I told you, and then Kathy called me about a week after he started it, and she said, I can't believe this. He's out of bed before me. He's outside working on the house, and he's whistling. I'll never forget that. And I've shared that story quite often, by the way.
Yeah.
And then they changed
And then
the
the smell of it also. And then I don't remember if the vitalizer also came where you got a free product with the Vivix. And then the Vivix was the liquid, but when he would take the liquid, he would cough so bad. And a lot of it is to do with his system is so run down, broken down, not getting the nutrients, and it's a little here and a little there and a little build up and then a little come down. Like I said, the consistency is what we have noticed the best in. Like when he is consistently taking it, if he can go a month without having a bad day, that's a wonderful.
Couch is what you mean when you say a bad.
Right. And so then, he's been doing nutrition through this time since the cinch. I want to say that he's been pretty faithful, but he's been taking the physique once the cinch quit, and he'd taken stress relief, taking his 12 Nutriferon, taking some omegas, vitamin B, he added on later. And then he quit taking the vitalizer because the grit, like I said, he gets in his bag and it irritates him, and especially if he's not feeling good. It's just, and some pills will come through whole, and that's as his body is not responding well.
Because everything runs through so fast.
Yes. Yeah. And then in the beginning of this year, I mean, and he was feeling pretty good. I have to say, feeling pretty good doing this, what he was taking. Then he's like, okay, I got it, because he was taking the Vital E. And the pills were just creating more and more, because it's like, well, if you take extra, I mean, your body uses what it can use, and it'll spit out on a normal person that does not have his health issues. And he just like, I have to quit taking some of these pills because I'm getting so much grit in my bag. So then he went online and he found organic liquid vitamin, and then that had minerals in it. And he tried that, and he cut down on his Nutriferon, and cut down on the things that were in that bottle. And it was not a good spring and summer, put it that way. I mean, it was, be it what was going on, but he was sick from May, June, July, August. And I want to say in July, he started back up on his Nutriferon. And we had to create ways of getting the Nutriferon.
Because every one of the kids,
yes,
the maximum amount, which is finally lifted now.
Yes, which is wonderful.
Yes.
But, I've been asked, well, how can you afford 12 Nutriferons a day? Because that's just him. And then if I take some, and if any of our kids or grandkids take them, because that's a go-to, they're like, how can you afford that? And it's like, how can you afford to lay on the couch and not have a life? And that's always been my thing, because we don't have a lot of money, but it's like, what's important is your health, that you can at least just function, and so through the summer, like I said, he was on the couch, not doing well. He got a bronchitis infection, and then another infection, and he would cough and cough and cough. And so he went to the doctor after, he went on 2 meds, and then he went back to the doctor, and she said, you have COPD. More than likely, and gave him a med like an inhaler to try with that. Well, he took it for about a week, but also he upped his omegas. He started taking the Vivix in a pill form, and he has not had coughing issues with it, which I find interesting. Takes it 2 to 3 times a day.
I'm wondering if it goes past that, where that flap is. If the liquid goes past there, where the pill doesn't touch it at all.
And that could be.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre to me.
But he has, and it's a big long name, he has a rare disease in his esophagus, plus he has the acid reflux, which makes me think of, he also takes he takes probiotics, the DI, but he also takes the bead. And the bead he does not swallow, he bites it, because you had told me that when you chew it, it works differently. And so he always bites the pill, and it has helped him in his throat, because on his throat, what'll happen, and he'll be eating, and all of a sudden it chokes him. And so when he started doing the little bead, he does not get that hardly ever. I mean, he'll be in the middle of eating, and he would have to stop, and he'd go gag it up, and it would take him a long time to get past it. He would have to go to bed, because whatever this is in his throat, and they wanted to do a steroid cream in his throat. And it's like, no. Kevin has also had blood clots a couple of times. I mean, it's not just his ulcerative colitis. He's had blood clots that he's nearly died twice. So it's just been one thing to the next. But anyway, going back to COPD, sorry about that. So his back was hurting really bad. It helped his cough. Like, he wouldn't just cough and cough in the morning, but at nighttime he started coughing again. But then what happened, he says, my back is just killing me. It hurts so bad. And I went online, and then I read the what do you say, what
Side
they said,
effects?
the side effects of the meds:
Oh my.
coughing, pneumonia, back pain. And it's like, so why would you take this? But he still has the cough and he struggles. It's going back and forth, but also the immunity, the triple defense boost. He's been taking that a couple times a day.
A couple times a day. Wow.
Yeah. Because I mean, he's trying to get his system that it's doing better, and then he'll do the Formula 1. And it's like, and sometimes it's like, okay, can you take too much? And I always think, well, your body gets rid of what you won't use unless it's, I believe, vitamin D, but that's the other one he takes a ton of. Vitamin D has helped him tremendously. His numbers were, I don't remember where he was, but he went up over 100. And I know they say that's not good, but every time he would cut down on his vitamin D, he felt the difference. But he also added in the new protein that they've come out with, which tastes really good. He mixes that with his physique because he loves the physique for his muscles,
And he
because
can
he's not
handle
always
the new
active.
protein.
Yeah, so he's added the new protein.
You know what? Just clicked in my mind. So he's been doing physique all this time, so he's getting a source of extra protein.
Yeah.
But this has all that fiber in it, and that was what the cinch had, I think, that made the biggest difference. That when they changed it, saw the fiber, but they changed something else in the process. So
Okay.
that fiber is going to help slow everything down from coming out too.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know he did wonderful with the cinch. But then, like I said, the last couple proteins, he's tried it and it made him sick feeling, and just because his system is so touchy.
Yeah. So this
And
one he's fine with.
yes, he takes that along with his full dose of the physique,
Awesome.
you
Awesome.
know.
Wow.
And so, and it's he takes that, he takes omegas, and he quit taking Vitally and he started taking liquidly, excuse me. But that way he is getting the multivitamin with the delicious taste in
They say if you put liquidly in orange juice that you don't, that's what you do with kids to get it down them. They don't notice the difference.
Yeah. Oh, but, and I have to say, I mean, using Shackley for as many years as we have, it's a joke with the kids. It always has been, take protein, take protein. And then now they give me grief about using lavender, as well. But it's like things that work, and my grandkids, when they're sick, what do? I make them a drink. They know grandma will make them a drink, and they don't. I mean, sometimes they mind it, sometimes they don't, but they know it's. But I have to say, the new Shackley protein, I don't have to fight myself to gag it down. I mean, I can drink it down and it's pleasant.
You made a very interesting statement right there when you said, I don't have to gag it down. Because you know what it does for your body and you gagged it down. You didn't have an adverse result the way Kevin did.
Right.
But, oh, I'm so thankful too. Yeah.
Oh, I think of the years we drank like the plain protein and leave half of it in the container because it was like, okay, at least I had some protein.
My Jory, my one son, just went back and he started doing the old. He said, Mom, I want the protein that I grew up with.
Oh, wow.
So he went back to using the old cocoa energizing protein with no fiber, no, doesn't have hardly anything in it. But that's what he likes.
Right. And that's the same as like the Liquilia that, I mean, I can never gag it down. But once you do it for long enough,
sick, you can take it down.
I know I can, but I never have made myself.
Yeah. But we make the kids do
it. But they get used to it, and it's healthy. Today,
powerful. Yeah, it's a
yes.
very powerful. It's a multivitamin and iron.
Right.
There's no minerals in it, and you have to take extra vitamin C. because when they make it, there's vitamin C in it, but vitamin C is not stable in a liquid form. You can go uptown and you can
Okay.
buy vitamin C in a liquid form, but that's why it's not on our label. Again, that's a Shackley difference thing.
Right. But you know, and okay, going back to the Shackley part of it. So when the vitalizer and the ones that had the little bead in it,
Vitalizer.
okay. So when he would take that bead and swallow it, it would come through. There was, and the other thing, there was something with the ones that break down in your large intestine. So it does what it's supposed to do because it would come through his bag.
Oh, because that's where that bead was supposed to be broken
Yes.
down.
Yep.
I find it interesting. You know, you said that he chews on it and it helps this part, and that I told you to do that, and I'm like, I did. So you know, it's so, when you do this long enough, there's so many times that things happen that you heard from somebody else, and then, like when Gib told me that he just takes a plain basic H and puts it around the apple tree, and he doesn't have any bugs in his apples, and I'm like, where'd you learn that from? He said,
From you.
you told me that, and I'm like, I don't ever remember even hearing that, but it works
Right.
for him. So
Right. Well, and the other thing is, I mean, the thing with his throat, he hasn't had issues for a while because he always does the pearl. I forget about it, you know, because he's doing good on it, you know, and his cough and how he's been sick has, you know,
yeah, you
has been
don't
the
think
focus.
about stuff once it's gone. Many times.
No,
I mean,
no,
you forget about all the details of it
right.
because you want health so bad. And I always
Yep.
say that when people start on supplements, like when I started, you know, it's like, did it really make a difference for me? And I started with protein, Vitally, and Herblax, because that's
Yep.
what everybody started with back in the day. But I used to have headaches and they went away. I didn't think about that. When you don't have the pain, you don't think about it. I carried aspirin all the time,
Right.
you know? So when something is gone, it's gone.
Right. And you forget
Yes, yes.
because you get very comfortable where things are. But
Unless it comes back.
yes, well, and that's the thing. I mean, so his system is the way it is. We were doing a job the other day and we pulled up flooring, and be it the flooring in the old linoleum or the paint that we painted. I mean, he had to go home. I mean, he was done because it just did something, the smells of some chemical, and we're not used to it. And I said, you know, but also where we were working, I said, you know, she uses Clorox bleach to clean out these bottles where she makes tea and puts them in it. And I'm thinking, okay, so she's putting bleach in a plastic bottle that somebody's going to drink out of again. And it's like, it's so unhealthy. And we don't know the smells because we don't use those. We use all the cleaning products,
Yes.
you know, and that just gives me an instant headache.
I had to go the other day. I went for a doctor checkup, and I was in that room for a while, and I'm like, I couldn't
Yep.
figure out what it was. And it's like, it's all this new sanitizing stuff they're using all over. And
Yep.
by the time I left there, it was hard to, it was right here, and I had a headache. And
Yep.
wow, I am so thankful that I use all of our cleaning products. Yes, you'll have it once in a while when you're around them like that, like you said, but then you get away from it and it goes away again.
Right. Well, balance is our mouse killer in our vehicles in the winter. And I mean, and when we buy it,
Not
it's
killer, but
like
deterrent. It keeps the mice out.
deter it, right? It kills their brain though. Apparently, it does something to them. But when we buy it, it has to ride in the back of the vehicle. But even then, it's like so strong because I'm not used to it.
I know. There's those chemicals are so bad for people, and the bounce ruins your dryer. I mean, it coats the elements,
Yeah.
and anybody you come around that's not used to chemicals, you can't stand sitting next to them or standing next to them because the smell
Yeah.
is so strong. Yeah. So, okay. So how is Kevin doing right now?
Actually, pretty good. I mean,
'Cause he's only been
he's.
doing the protein now for what?
When did I call you? A week ago?
Yeah.
About a week. And then like I said, he upped his omegas, and he does the Vivix. and he's back up to 12 Nutriferon, and then he'll take Defend and Resist. He takes the triple defense. He takes that a couple times a day, especially if he starts not feeling good. And it's like trying to kick his body going is what he's trying to do, and get it going back to where it was before. And stress relief, B complex, C, D.
You know, I want to comment on something else. You know, having been doing this for as many years as you and I have, and then something comes across or somebody says, oh, this is so good and you should try it. We've all done it.
Yep.
That have been around for a while. And we have a lot of people who do that. And then they come back again to using what we've got because they realize, I can't believe after this many years, and some of you who are watching this may think, wow, I thought she was more solid than that. We all want the best. And some people are so good at marketing and they get you to buy a product and then you find out really it's not as good as what you got.
And also trying to save money. There's got to be other products out there.
Yep.
You think, you know.
Yeah, Shaka can't be the only one that's this good. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
This is the guy. Good morning, Kevin.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. And Kathy's sharing your story, and I'm excited. Okay.
And you know, I like to have him healthy, but I know how it is to be sick. You know, and when a person is sick, you don't always want to hear, well, you should try this and you should try that. And it's because you don't feel good. You just want to be able to make it through the day. And that's how some of his days are.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't want to take anymore. You know, I understand that part, but you know, that person needs help to get over also to the next hump, you know, and little by little. And sometimes I think you need to start out slower than just all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to take all these pills.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because the body, I think, has to detoxify some of the garbage out of our system.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I would never start anybody on the amounts of what Kevin has taken. Never. I agree. You would start with either Life Plan or the Vitalizing Plan, one of those two plans. And it would, you know, with what we've got today, to starting with the Prove It Challenge, because it does that detox first.
Right.
And everybody's going to feel better. And then if they still have some issues after that, they can add some different things. So.
Right. And I was going to say one other thing is when Kevin was sick this spring and summer, I was talking to Larry, our brother, and I just said, you know, he's been having a really hard time. And he goes, you know, he said, he's alive. We never expected him to live. So, you know, to me, it's this
and
amazing
how many years
story.
ago was that? How old is Tessa?
Tessa is 35.
So it was 36 years ago.
Yep. Yep.
Because after that surgery, you were pregnant with her.
I was pregnant with her when we were in Mayo for that month. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And most people, if you don't do the nutrition, most people will be on thousands and thousands of dollars of meds and they're not living. They're just coping.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's what I always think of how many people live that way and do not have the nutrition. You know, we're extremely blessed that way.
Well, because if you think about it, you have been able to travel. You go through periods of time where he's been down. And that's usually because you cut way back in what you're doing.
Or exposed to something, you know, that he gets, you know, his system, but it's all of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but
when you think about that, because you have a child in Hawaii and you go over there and spend a month or two.
Yep.
And you have a child in Virginia and you go over there and you spend time. Yep. And you come here.
Yes.
And to Montana, and wherever.
And we have,
think about it, your quality of life, you've been able, like Larry said, you've been able to have a husband all these years.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, well, thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, to share, because I know other people will benefit as a result of it. So
I hope so for them.
Yes.
Okay.